Well, hello, writers. Welcome to episode number 111, a great number, episode of How Do You Write? I'm your host, Rachael Herron. I'm so glad you're here with me today. I'm talking to the fabulous Kristen Lepionka, who was introduced to me by a friend, and she's all that. And now I am following her all around the internetosphere because she was so cool and so fun to talk to and so wise about what we do when we're writing. I know you're going to enjoy it. In a little bit of a catch up of what's been going on around here, as I record, it's the day it's going to go live on November 30th, 2018. And because I'm a touch behind this week, but it is the last day of NaNoWriMo. And I want to tell you how my experience was. It was awesome in that I didn't do it and I gave myself permission not to do it, which was fantastic. I got 4,000 words before I started a week and a half late. I got 4,000 words before I realized that I can't write this book yet. This was the book about Venice, going back and forth there for 25 years. Yet another middle-aged American woman who loves Venice, and Venice doesn't love being back. Venice loves very few things, and I love her for that. I love her for her standoffishness. That's one of the things I love. But I had a what. I had the what of writing about Venice, but I don't have the so what yet. So I need to wait until I know what this book means, what is its purpose, and I don't have that yet. So I have to wait, which was good because then I got revisions back on my romance, which are complete, and copy edits are coming. And I also got the page proofs on the thriller. So I would like to tell you that, well, I wouldn't have had time to do NaNoWriMo anyway, but the truth of the matter is I would have. I can find time to write 1,667 words a day. I chose not to. I've written enough lately. I feel good about that choice. I don't need Nano to prove to me that I can write books, obviously, but I choose to celebrate Nano every year, which I'm doing again this year, for the way that it brings out this ultimate creativity in 500,000 people around the world, many of whom are finding out for the first time that they can write a book. So there is never going to be a November that I don't worship at the altar of NaNoWriMo. I just don't always do it myself, which is just fine. So, yep, gotten those other things working. And I just want to say something pretty exciting to me that I just wrote and sent off in my Patreon. This is not a plug to get you to join. I swear it's just something that I'm excited about. This last year, it's been a whole year of writing this book I called Replenish. And every month I did a challenge to see if I could replenish my soul, because this time last year, my soul was freaking empty. I could not fill it. I couldn't fill it with booze or weed or pills or food or family or friends or anything else that we like to fill our souls with. So I decided to try to fix that. I thought I was working too much. Yesterday, I sent off the synthesis essay, the last essay of the book, in which I talked about how everything I tried had worked or didn't work and what I found from the experiment. Spoiler alert, this will not ruin the essay for you, but I found out that the reason I felt so empty was because of this alcohol addiction that I had drifted into in the last couple of years. And finding that out fixed everything in a number of different astonishing ways. I'm now more than 9 months sober. It's fantastic. I'm so grateful that it happened to me. I'm so grateful that that alcoholic switch was flipped in me. I really, really am, because it has led to this place of peace, like no other well of peace I've ever felt. The creative well for me is full and overflowing, and it is so flippin' cool. And I loved writing this essay. So I sent that out. And now I'm going to be focusing on putting together the first book, which was called Make Your Life. It's essays on creativity. And then I'm going to revise Replenish, which is the next memoir that I'm working on. And then I'm going to send them off to my agent. But honestly, my agent doesn't really love the sound of them. She's really more into my thriller right now. So it may end up that I happily self-publish if she decides she doesn't want to take them out, or if I don't have a viable platform, because I really don't have much of a platform as a creativity guru, right? I have a platform as a knitter. I have a platform as a fiction writer, not so much as a person talking about creativity and the refilling of the creative well. So it may be self-published, which would be awesome because that means it would go out earlier. But if you wanted to read either of those books, now it's a plug. If you join my Patreon for as little as $1 a month, you get to read all, I think there's 24 essays in there now. It's like 160,000 words or something like that. You could read piecemeal. I probably recommend that you wait for the book to come out because it'll be easier to read then. But if you'd like to dive in and see what I found out, especially in this last synthesis essay, I put in some marketing tweet or something I put out yesterday that the answer did surprise me, that what I found did surprise me. Super clickbaity, but it's actually true. So I feel really good about that. I am going into my next project for Patreon, and I'm not really sure what it's going to be right now. It could be a book about addiction. It could be some other kind of memoir. It's going to be creative nonfiction essays. Maybe they will be one-offs that then I try to publish. But I'm still going to be writing one a month because I love writing these. It's just handy when I can also gather them together into a book because that works out really well. Speaking of Patreon, I have to thank new patrons, Jen LeBlanc. Thank you so much, Jen, for your sweet note on Twitter, too. New patron, Diane. Thank you, Diane. And new patron, Mary Helen Ward, who's been an internet friend of mine for a long time, a native New Zealander. So thank you, Mary Helen. And everything else is going really well. I'm off to see my friend Toby Neal today. You may have heard her on Joanna Penn's podcast. I think it's one of my favorite that I've ever heard on Joanna Penn's podcast. Toby Neal and I have taught together, and she's fantastic. So we're going to go spend the day playing and experimenting and talking about the future. So I encourage you to be creating your own community of writers around you. These are the people that will stick with you, who will lift you up, who will not criticize your writing and make you feel bad, because screw that, kick those to the curb. We don't need that kind of encouragement. We need encouragement to write and encouragement to grow and encouragement to get better. We do not need somebody saying, well, you really shouldn't have done that with, that chapter. That's what editors are for. That is not what writing friends are for. Dozie's barking, so that means it's time to hang up. Please enjoy this wonderful interview with Kristen Lepionka, and we'll talk next week. Well, I could not be more pleased today to welcome to the show my guest, Kristen Lepionka. Hi, Kristen.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Another thriller writer. We were just talking about it on the air before we got on. But let me give you a little bio. Kristen Lepionka is the Shamus Award-winning author of the Roxane Weary mystery series, which is a PI series, may I add, my favorite kind of mystery. She grew up mostly in a public library and could often be found in the adult mystery section well before she was out of middle school. Her writing has been selected for Shotgun Honey, McSweeney's Internet Tendency, Grift, and Black Elephant. She lives in Columbus, Ohio with her partner and 2 cats. So welcome to the show. Your first book came out last year, is that right? In 2017? Yes. And the second one released now. Are you into the third one?
Yes, the third one is actually coming out next July. It's July 9th.
So it's all done.
It's
dusted.
It's all done. I've just got a cover last week, I think. So
do you like it?
Things are definitely, yes, I love it. I love it. It's great. My cover artists have been so amazing with
your covers are gorgeous.
Yeah, they just I feel like they grab you in a really cool way. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited for the world to see that cover. So I'm also working on the 4th book. And by working on, I mean thinking about. I haven't really started writing anything yet, but I know kind of what I'm going to do. And that'll be out in the summer of 2020, which it's hard to believe that's a year that we're talking about in the world, but
it is.
Apparently it is.
It is so hard. I am 46 and I still think 2020 was something I couldn't imagine when I was in high school.
It's just bizarre. It sounds like a science fiction movie.
It really does.
2020.
Exactly. Well, this show is about writing process, and I would love to hear about yours.
Okay.
Just tell us kind of the gist. When and where and how. Is this your full-time job? Do you fit this into the pockets of your day around a full another job or?
Well, so I'm a freelance graphic designer
Oh,
by
cool.
day or by night or whenever it is that I do that stuff. So I kind of have the flexibility to write whenever I feel like I need to write and to work on work stuff whenever I need to do that.
Hmm.
So my writing I tend to do it in very intense chunks rather than like a little bit every day. I'm not really an
Hmm.
everyday kind of writer. I am a bit of a procrastinator. I am willing to admit. Um, and so with my third book, which it was due to my editor in August, and so I had been like I knew what I wanted to do with it, and I spent a little bit too much time thinking about that, and then when it was finally time to sit down and write, that happened really really fast. But I feel like part of the process is that you can sit yourself down and make yourself write, but you can't force the idea to be ready to be written, if
Isn't
that
that
makes
the
sense.
worst? It's the
It's
worst.
so annoying. There's nothing you can do to like hurry it along. It is what it is. Like
Yeah.
it just you have to kind of wait around. It's like waiting for water to boil, like until it's boiling, like you're not making pasta. I'm hungry.
That's a
The
really
pasta
it's a great
metaphor.
analogy though. It's not going to start like the chemicals are not going to start working in the way that makes food until
Right.
that time, except the
Exactly.
difference is like boiling pasta, no matter how long you think it takes, it's only less than 10 minutes, and this whole book thing is much worse.
It's
Okay,
much
so
longer.
let me ask you about your process for this, because I have to admit I'm doing this totally selfishly at this moment because I'm thinking about my next thriller and my next synopsis, and my brain does not work in terms of mysteries. I love to read them, but in terms of coming up with them, it was very hard for me to do for this book that's coming out in August.
Okay.
And so do you do you plot things out for a long time? I was just talking to Dorinda Jones, who has a 40 to 60 page outline of her book before
Oh
she
my
even
goodness.
starts. Can you imagine?
I
I
have so much respect for people who can do that.
Mad respect.
I
I have usually
cannot.
like I have a page with some lines jotted, and that's about what I have.
Yeah, I'll tend to have a page, maybe two pages, maybe even three max, but like I used to think like I couldn't even possibly write down even one page of notes because it will interfere with my, creative process or whatever. But like then it's like actually you have to be really kind of clinical about it in terms of placing clues and building suspense. It's not an art exactly. You have to
Hmm.
be kind of scientific about it. So once I really learned that, I do a little bit of plotting. I kind of look at a very loose three-act structure
Hmm.
for the plotting that I do, but I do like to leave a lot of room for things to just happen because that's where like the best stuff happens. Like characters do things you had no idea they were going to do. Like that's where all of the good stuff happens. With my second book, there's a character who's in the first book that I hadn't intended to put in the second book at all. And she like really wanted to be in the book, and she kept bothering me until I put her in the book, and now she's kind of a big part of it. So it's like that wouldn't have been in my outline. I didn't want her in the book, but then as I was writing, she wouldn't leave me alone. So nah, she's in
So
the book.
so do you know the inside and out though of the crime and who done it?
I generally know who done it. I don't
Mm-hmm.
always know the circumstances,
Mm.
like or the reasons or exactly how things came out, but I generally know who when I set out to do it. It would be kind of hard for me, I think, to write about a crime where I didn't know who had. Actually, that's not true.
I have a
I have,
couple friends who do it, who don't
yeah,
know till the end of the book, and then they go rewrite the book to make that work. But you know,
yeah. Well, I think the best thing is when you're reading a book and like you're getting close to the end and like you're like, oh, I know exactly who did it, and then there's like one final twist, even after you've like solved all of the how and the why and the where, and you have all of the details, and it seems like the theory makes sense, and the theory does make sense, but there's like this one little thing you didn't know. So I think that kind of twist can sort of pop up last
ah,
minute. Uh,
uh-huh.
Second book had a little bit of that, but generally I know like where the story is going, and I usually have a pretty clear idea of how it's ending way before I even know where it's starting.
Oh,
So I kind of like eye on the ending and then let the other stuff happen in the middle.
I'm a little bit jealous. I never know my endings. I always know my beginnings, and that's really not very helpful.
Uh,
It's not helpful at all. So when and where do you get your writing done?
so when is whenever I have to.
That's right. That's right.
But so where, like, I think, like, as writers we can get very precious about our writing spaces, or we have to have like these exact perfect conditions. And so I have in my home not one but two separate writing spaces depending on
Nice.
my mood. And I also I belong to a co-working space that's near my apartment, and I
Ooh,
go
how do
there.
you find that? I mean, how
I
do you
like
you
it.
enjoy it?
Yeah, it's great because it's like
I keep thinking about it.
it's pretty big, and there's a bunch of different, like, if you want to sit at a table, or if you want to sit in a cozy booth, or if you want to sit on a couch, or you want to get a conference room, like there's all these options, which is cool because you never quite know what you're going to feel like. Like, you never quite know if sitting at a table is going to just, ruin your concentration for the whole
Right,
day.
right.
What you really want to do is like sit on a giant pillow on the floor or
I
something.
generally want to do that. Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't? But yeah, I do really like that. And I like having the flexibility to um, sort of change scenery,
Hmm.
because I can tend to get it. Like right now I'm sitting at my desk in my office, which is where I also do a lot of my design work.
Hmm.
And it can be difficult for me to sit at the same computer for writing as for doing that stuff, because it's like, this is the computer where I sit at and I do graphic design, not necessarily writing. Especially drafting. It's different if I'm editing or, revising or working through ideas. But when I'm actually working on a draft, it's very hard for me to sit like among my like other work things,
Hmm.
and sort of tap into that same creative energy. Yeah.
Me too. The place I'm sitting right now is where I do all my email. I don't
Yeah.
I don't write, and I sometimes edit or revise here, but I don't write first drafts here. And like it's ridiculous to me that I'm using the same computer, but it's my editing position. It's my email position. That's not that I
Yeah.
write. So okay. So what is your biggest
Yeah.
challenge when it comes to writing?
Um, well, one challenge is like knowing when it's time to stop researching and actually to start
Mm.
writing,
Mm-hmm.
because research is so fun, and there's just so many rabbit holes you can go down, and I tend to over research, and also like I can get hung up on details of research of like, oh well, I don't know the layout of this particular police precinct in Columbus. Maybe I need to like go there and figure out like which side of the room the doorway is on. Like, no, that doesn't matter. So, uh, things like that, like I'll have to sort of remind myself, like, that doesn't matter. Step away from that. So that is a challenge, but another challenge is really just, especially because my work is a series, like I don't want to do anything that will disappoint anyone,
Mm.
especially in terms of my protagonist Roxanne's her personal life. People have very strong opinions about Catherine versus Tom, and I don't want to make anybody mad. And so I just
Oh, I
really
love
want,
that you have a male and a female love interest.
yes, Roxanne.
That's rad.
Oh.
Rad. That's my next read.
Yeah, well, yeah, she's super fun to write, and like especially with the mystery genre, which is not as diverse as some
Right.
other genres. Like there's very little bisexual representation
Hmm.
in books, unless it's just, the typical cliche, like, oh, here's this bisexual character, that must mean they're not trustworthy. Like, so,
Exactly.
that's
Right, right,
super
right.
frustrating. I identify as bi, so I really wanted to
Me
write
too.
something that, oh, how about that? I really just wanted to write a book that's like the books I've loved all my life, but had a person in it who was like me. And so, like I love writing her, and I'm just very like sensitive to the fact that people do have these strong feelings about like the people in her life, and I just don't want to do anything that is like a misstep. I feel like it's a writing is like there's pressure that gets put
Hmm.
on you, like write for yourself, or before you published your first book you're just like do there's no pressure, it doesn't matter. And
Hmm.
then once your work is being published, like there is some pressure, and it's not really there's a lot of pressure, but from all different sides. But specifically, in this context, like people, when people like your work, like they're counting on you to deliver what they want. And so that's really like, that is a huge responsibility. And I take it really seriously because it's like, time is money. It's when someone chooses to spend their time reading your work, like it better be good. So that's kind of if you think too much about it, that can be a crushing sort of weight to feel like you have to shoulder. But at the end of the day, it is all about writing a good story. And if I feel like if you're true to yourself, then the rest falls in line.
And if it makes you happy, then it's making your perfect readers happy.
Yes.
And exactly. If they're not your perfect readers, then, see ya later. See ya later.
Yes. Yes.
What is your biggest joy when it comes to writing?
Well, what I like writing the most,
or any part of writing.
Well, I love writing scenes of like a conversation between characters who've just had sex. That is my favorite.
That's hilarious. I never write that scene. They go to sleep
really?
Every time. I love writing the scene right before the sex, and it's not sexy, but it's something that's happening that's going to pivot them. Exactly. Yeah. Tell me more about that. No, tell me more about like what happens after.
Well, so it's like after sex, people's guards are down. They're very like open and relaxed, unless they're like, unless there's some kind of complex psychological thing going on and they get all closed off. But that's interesting too.
Yeah, totally.
But in general, like, people are at their most like open in that moment if they're just sort of like laying there talking, and it's just amazing. If I could write a whole book of just that, I would, but like no one would publish that. So
I would read it, but I wouldn't publish it.
I have had to take out so many like unnecessary post-coital conversation scenes from my work. I just love it so much.
This is something I've never heard a writer say, and I love it.
I don't even usually write the sex part of the scene. Like I usually have like a cut from like the frenzied, making out about to happen to like this amazing afterwards scene that I just love to write. That's so good.
So cool. That is so freaking cool. All right. Can you share a craft tip with us of any sort?
Yes. So one of my favorite things to do when I am working on characterization, especially with like the supporting characters that are in my book, since I know my main character and her her family and her close relationships, I know them pretty well. When it comes into like the characters who are related to the case that she's working on, I like to take the Myers-Briggs type indicator test on my characters. I'm a proud INFJ here, so I'm
an ENFJ, but I teeter on I. So.
Yeah, these.
Yes, girl.
So, obviously, like any personality test, like you have to take that kind of stuff with a grain of salt, and there's no like one test that can describe the multitudes contained within all of us. But I do think it's interesting to look at it like, imagine how your character would answer these questions. And it's really then helpful to get these results and just sort of make sure that their behavior in your writing sort of matches that. Because, if you have someone who comes up as like an ISTJ, they're not going to be browsing the crystal store looking for woo-woo things. Just, that's like a little bit. As far as making like consistent characterizations of them throughout, even with like little things, it can really make a big difference, because as you're writing them, a character might do something that's out of character, and it might be small, and it's small enough that you might not even notice unless you kind of look at it specifically through that framework. So I think that's helpful, and it's also kind of fun.
It sounds totally fun, and I've never done it. How small a character will you use that on? Like, obviously, your major characters, and then the players for this particular. Is it for the players for this particular book, like around this particular crime? And
yes,
okay.
Really, anyone who's like in more than one scene, there's the opportunity to make sure that they're behaving consistently.
I love that. My characters never behave consistently. That might be really really helpful.
Well, part of characters not behaving consistently is that we're all super complicated, but and sometimes like there's a reason that someone may act in a way that's not in alignment with the rest of their personality, but like you have to make sure that there's a reason that you're writing it that way. If
Yeah.
there's not a reason, then that's just random, and readers notice literally everything, which is crazy.
Yes, I know. That's really, really good point though, because I think what happens to me is I go in and I introduce like a character for this particular book, and I think I know them, and then by the second third of the book, I can't remember what I thought, so then I just write them as if it's one of my stock characters, and I forgot
Right.
that they have a real interior life, which I was aware of,
Right.
40 pages ago, but
Hmm.
I'm going to use that. Do you just like label it somewhere? Do you have it in a spreadsheet or something?
Yeah, I have it in I use
Yeah.
the app, what's it called? Notion, to just sort of organize all of my thoughts.
I don't know this
Uh,
app.
it's so cool. It's like Evernote, but better. Because it's like Evernote, except it's kind of laid out like WordPress inside.
Oh, I
And
love
so
WordPress.
right, so you can like create a document and like add like Evernote is just sort of like a
Evernote is like, it's just,
depository.
yes. It's
Just
opening a
dump
huge
stuff in there.
box and
Right.
yeah, looking inside the box. But,
Yeah. But in
oh,
Notion, you can like create like the document, and then you can like add different types of pages and different snippets of code to it, and you can add visual bookmarks from the web if you're trying to like do brainstorming stuff, and it just keeps it all in this really nice package that's easy to scroll through, and
ah.
they have a really good mobile app, and you should definitely check it out.
I'm going to like be hanging up with you and checking it out. Thank you very much. You may have just changed my life because I use Evernote, but I hate it. All right.
It's
Well,
cool.
what is the thing in writing that you are most excited to talk or to think about? What is the thing that you always return to when you're talking about writing?
Well, I just love telling stories. I mean, I have loved that my whole life, and it's just like I was at a book fair over the weekend, and the woman who was at the table next to me, she was talking about how she knew she was a writer. Was she uh, asked her husband a question like, well, when you're sitting in traffic or standing in line at the grocery store, what kind of stories do you tell in your head? And her husband was like, what? And so like that was totally me. She didn't realize it until, she was married and had a husband to look at her like she was crazy. Like that, I realized that when I was like 5. So it's just something that I have loved forever. And just like making when you tell a story, like there's so much complicated, yummy stuff going on. You're sort of writing people the way you wish they were. You're sort of enacting some revenge fantasies. You're processing through grief. You're dealing with issues of society, just all of that stuff. And it comes out in this like nice story form that a person can like read it on a very surface level and just get a good yarn out of it and enjoy it and put it down. Or if they want to look deeper, they can really sort of see all the layers of what you're doing here. And it's just so great that we get to do that.
That's our job, and we are
Yeah.
allowed to do that. What I really love
Yeah.
too is and I'm sure you've had this happen when you do write something that you think is pretty okay and you're pretty proud of it, but then you realize there is a deeper level that you didn't even see that you had
Yes.
somehow layered in, and you feel very clever, but you can't take any of the credit because you're like the front
No.
of your brain didn't think of that. That came from
There's something in there, did.
way back, way back.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
that
For
is that
sure.
is super super delicious. I love that. So, what is the best book that you've read recently?
The best book that I've read recently. So I just read. Oh my God, and now I can't think of the name. It's Idra Novi's new book,
I
and
don't
oh
know.
my God, I have to look it up to see what it's called. But she is an amazing writer. She does a lot of work in translation. So all of her books have this sort of like American characters in other locations having
Ooh.
like weird culture shock, and it's just her. Yeah, she's amazing, and I cannot believe I can't think of the name of this book. I had it
Whenever
written down.
anybody ever asks me what I just recently read, like what was most recently in my hands, I cannot remember ever.
Those Who Knew. That is the
Those who
name of the
knew.
book. Yes, and it's sort of like it's a, it's not a mystery. It's not, but it's kind of a literary thriller type
Ooh.
thing. Yeah, it's so good.
Okay.
Definitely check it out.
Also putting on my list, but after your books, which I'm going to devour. So what would you like to tell us about? Where can we find you? What is your most recent book? All of that. Give us a little.
So my most recent book is What You Want to See, and it came out earlier this year in May. So it's the second Roxane Weary mystery. It'll be out in paperback alongside my new book, which comes out next summer, which is exciting.
Very cool.
So yeah, I'm kind of like in that like middle spot between releases right now at this moment, which is a good time to do other projects. And one of those projects that I'd like to tell you about is a podcast that I'm doing with two of my writer friends.
I just saw that over on Instagram. I was stalking you. And tell us about this, please.
Okay. It's called Unlikable Female Characters, and we're sort of billing it as feminist thriller writers talk about women who don't give a damn if you like them or not.
Yes.
So
this is
we're just going
that
into
needs
like
to be filled. This podcast.
Yes. So we're going to talk about women who you love to hate or hate to love, or who just like do not give a fuck. And sorry, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say.
Yes, girl. Yes.
Okay. And just the way women are presented in pop culture, and a lot of the tropes and stereotypes, specifically gendered stereotypes, that are kind of part and parcel with all of that, which is really exciting. We're going to be chatting with some other feminist thriller writers, but the core group, there's me, Lane Fargo, whose book, her debut comes out next summer. It's called Temper, and it is it is a psychological thriller set in the Chicago theater scene. And then Wendy Hurd, whose book Hunting Annabelle comes out next month, and it is a psychological thriller with a sort of twisted serial killer set in 1980s Texas.
Oh, cool.
Also quite amazing. So we are the core group at the heart of Unlikable Female Characters, and we'll be releasing episodes every 2 weeks until people tell us that they are tired of it. But the thing about this project is we like sort of conceived of this because there was something that irritated me, and so I reached out to Lane and Wendy, who are both bi, and we were talking about this thing that had made me mad, and it sort of took off into its own direction and became this podcast, even though like the thing that I was mad about has nothing to do with Unlikable Female Characters. It's just
but
like
what a wonderful catalyst.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So we decided, like, yeah, you know what we're going to do? It'll just be like this little thing. Nobody will really care about it, but maybe like eventually someone will care. And then we decided, like, okay, we're all just going to like tweet about it once. And so we have this like official podcast Twitter feed, and the three of us just retweeted the one tweet from that account. And like this weird thing happened. Like, I wish I could understand it so I could replicate it for my own work, but like people got so excited. And like Book Riot organically picked it up.
Nice.
And it was like, what is going on? So like within a day we had like over 1,200 followers on this account that had no content in it. And we were just like, wait a minute. Now like we have to do this thing and it has to be good. So
is it out there now or is it coming?
So it is out there now. We've released 2 episodes. One of them was just kind of like a mini preview.
Yeah.
And then we released a full episode last week. And we'll have another one coming.
I'm so excited to get in on the ground floor of this because I like to start with the beginning of podcasts. So when I find a new podcast, I have to go back to the beginning and start. And I also love that you're doing it every 2 weeks because we all have a lot of podcasts to listen to. And that's, I mean, if you ever go to a weekly, that's fine. I will also love that. But I'm a new fan. I'm totally subscribing. That you're definitely hitting a conversation that we all want to be having now. You know, and this is a conversation that can continue forever, honestly, until everything is fixed, which is going to be never. So you are just, this is going to be the best podcast ever. I'm so excited. Yes. Thank you for telling me about it. And thank you for, posting on Instagram, because I right before you answered the phone, I'm like, wait a minute, what is that?
Yeah, we're super excited about it. And I designed the logo. So
it's a great logo.
Designer. Thank you.
Of course, because you're the designer. Yes. Yeah. that is fabulous. Okay, and we can find you at your name, KristenLepionka.com.
So I'm at KristenLepionka.com on Twitter and Insta. I am KML Writes. And on Facebook, I don't use it very often, so don't look for me there probably.
Smart. Smart.
Yeah. But yeah, that's me.
It has been 100% delightful to talk to you. Thank you
as well.
so much for spending your time with us. And I wish you really, really happy writing as you move forward with this darn holiday season that's coming up. So.
Oh, yes. It's here.
It's here. Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kristen. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.